Welcome back to Yang Daily. I'll be your host, Alex Cheney, bringing you all the Yang news you need to live your life right. So much to cover and so little time. I ran out of it again, but it's still an action packed episode. Let's get straight to business. Quick shout out to our Tier 3 patrons, Peter Park, Shay Meehan, and Nathan Stankowski, as well as all our other patrons. You keep us all informed and engaged. If any of you out there want to join these advocates of humanity first and independent journalism, head on over to patreon.com/YangDaily. It would only take a couple of bucks a month from each listener to keep this podcast and community going and growing into the future. Now on to the news. Democrats know, even if they don't want to say it, that they cannot pass H.R. 1 with the filibuster in place. While some speak of paring down the bill, and frankly, I wouldn't mind myself taking out some elements of it, the reality is that no changes will lead to Republican support in the Senate, even if it has support among Republican voters. The only way to protect democracy is dispensing with the filibuster. In light of Manchin's steadfast refusal to ditch it altogether, some Democrats are now floating the idea of creating an exception for pro-democracy bills. Basically, they're trying to find a way to get Manchin to agree to allow these bills to pass. In this case, by basically eliminating it just a little bit. I don't expect that it'll work, but I sure hope it does because it needs to. New data shows that 21% of men and 24% of women who have contracted COVID have had symptoms lasting longer than 5 weeks, and over 10% had symptoms lasting more than 12 weeks. Strangely, those around age 60 seem most likely to be long haulers, with prevalence actually dropping in the 70-plus bracket, and younger age groups don't drop off as much as they do in terms of regular symptom impact. Some patients have been afflicted with serious symptoms for many months and have yet to recover. This long-term effect, much like COVID in general, is still not well understood, but it is a good reason for everyone, regardless of age or condition, to avoid exposure. You know, if the morality of not spreading it to others wasn't enough reason on its own. Claudia Sahm pointed out more evidence that the federal stimulus worked to alleviate the recession, specifically that loan delinquencies were much lower than in the previous recession, despite higher unemployment. Good bit of data to stick in the bookmarks in support of UBI. We haven't reported on legal reform for a while. Well, here's a happy note to come in on. Illinois just became the first state in the U.S. to completely abolish cash bail. That is huge. Cash bail has been an overt weapon of oppression against the poor since its inception. There is no justification for basing whether a suspected criminal is held in jail or not on how much money they have, nor should innocent people accused of a crime have to pay to stay out of jail. It's nothing more than debtor's prison and sends more people into poverty when they get stuck in jail for months and lose their job. Do note that this does not mean judges can't hold dangerous criminals in jail. It means they have to justify it on merit rather than on wealth. You know, like it should freaking obviously be done. Some states, such as New Jersey, were early to the party in revoking most cash bail. This reform should be replicated across the country. The Illinois bill also came with a number of other reforms, such as banning chokeholds and certain military equipment, as well as requiring body cameras for police officers. You can find all the details in the linked article. And we have good news out of California as well. Michael Tubbs has announced that he will be officially advising Governor Gavin Newsom on income inequality, child poverty, and economic recovery. Apparently, he even turned down a job offer from the Biden administration for this. It's both great that the Biden administration made the offer and that Tubbs will be shaping economic policy for all of California. Here, we were disappointed that he lost re-election as mayor, but it's only given him the opportunity for a bigger role. Classic. As you may recall, a province in South Korea where a stunning 27% of Koreans aged 15 to 29 are either unemployed or underemployed, implemented a youth basic income of about $220 every 3 months to 24-year-old residents to spend locally, and the initial feeling was that it was helping the economy. Well, based on surveys before and after implementation, as well as recent reports, it not only raised life satisfaction, approval of basic income, and work motivation, It improved sales numbers in small businesses by 45%. 45% more business for entrepreneurs from just a small basic income for 24-year-olds. That is insane. Frankly, it's such a big jump that I have to suspect there are other factors at play, but don't have the time to dig through the report. If anyone does, links below and we would love more detail. Mandating local spending may be a winning caveat for city and state UBIs. Bear in mind, this youth income is on top of a basic income distributed to all residents of the province and a national basic income during the pandemic. Better yet, the province is now considering a rural basic income, which would go to all residents within rural areas. South Korea is quickly and strongly embracing basic income and is a contender for who might first implement a national UBI. The governor behind these provincial trials is a strong proponent, is expected to run for president soon, and wants to expand UBI nationwide. He sounds rather like Andrew Yang, in fact, except that he's already leading the polls in the presidential race. Looking forward to his campaign, but I intend for us to already have an emergency UBI in place by then. The race is on. Back in the US, Income Movement has begun working their way through thanking all of the mayors for AGI. Today we are thanking Mayor Melvin Carter. Drop him some love on social media. Scott has pointed us at a new promising candidate for the US House, Karen Peterson. Apparently, Louisiana Congressman Cedric Richmond has retired his seat to join the Biden administration, so they are holding a special election in Louisiana. If you live there, make sure you're signed up and ready to vote, as Election Day is March 20th. Peterson's website is pretty vague on policy details, but says that she supports $15 minimum wage and Medicare for all, though not what form exactly. However, Scott says Peterson is for recurring $2,000 checks, wants to abolish the filibuster, and has been endorsed by Stacey Abrams, which is pretty compelling. I'll trust Scott as a source. Check her webpage in the links. Scott has also had his recent essay on UBI turned into a video by YouTuber Build the Floor. It's amazing. So many great points included, wonderful narration, great graphics and support. It's definitely one of the best UBI videos I have seen. You'll want to watch and bookmark this one, trust me. Michael Patrick broke down Scott's video into clips and shared which one got the most engagement on TikTok. It's a very brief one that quickly covers the ideas of work not getting done due to lack of income, unpaid labor going unrecognized, and sharing the profits of automation. It's a good clip to share as a hook and for people with short attention spans. UBI Lab have started asking candidates for office in and around the UK to sign a pledge in support of UBI, as we did here in the US. And they just got Catriona MacDonald and Andy Burnham to sign up. You can check if candidates in your area have signed and link them to it if they haven't at the link below. There's also a petition for the rest of us, and you do not have to be from the UK to sign it, so get your name on there. Speaking of petitions, Rashida Tlaib has a new one out in support of the ABC Act. If you recall, this is the emergency UBI bill for $2,000 a month funded by minting trillion-dollar coins. It's a great plan, exactly what we need right now, and probably my favorite proposal. If this passes, UBI is a shoo-in, in my opinion. Do not skip on this. Take 30 seconds to add your name to the petition, and make sure everyone you know does as well. Leave Congress no choice if they want to retain their seats. Skipping over to the mayoral race, Yang announced a new policy today to create a digital hub where all small businesses can easily and quickly get licenses and permits. Sounds like his conservative side that we love of cutting through the bureaucracy. Finally, following the close of this quarter of the mayoral race, Yang has announced that the campaign has raised $2.1 million from nearly 16,000 donors, and that the city will be matching the small dollar donations, bringing the total to $6.5 million. $6.5 million for a mayoral race. Most presidential candidates did not pull in that much. That is the power of small dollar donation matching and the power of YangGang. He also said that we hit the donor threshold for matching funds faster than any candidate in New York City's history. Now that is what I'm talking about. Way to go, gang. And that'll do it for today's Yang Daily. Press your senator on the filibuster, bookmark and share the long haul COVID thread, the economic stimulus effect, the Illinois cash bail, Scott's video, and the Korean basic income trials. Thank Carter, Peterson, McDonald, and Burnham for supporting UBI. Sign the petitions. Flood Congress with calls, tweets, faxes, and letters using the ResistBot or Income Movement easy contacts below. If you need help, consult Humanity Forward, the Income Movement Aid Database, the Mission Asset Fund, or United Way, and don't forget to Yang Daily.